I've heard that, especially after the chapter 1138 and Harley's text. There's been a lot of discussion about the differences in interpretation between the Japanese version and English versions during the translation process. Of course, I don't claim to know every Japanese words and every Japanese nuances, so I don't think I'm always right. But I do feel there's a noticeable gap between translation found in internet and translation based on the native Japanese perspective. That's why on this channel, I do my best to provide the nuanced and accurate translations. And in this chapter, in particular, has a lot of words with multiple interpretations like Dosundada and Yasam. So today, we'll be taking a deep dive into hybrid races, especially Dosundada, and analyzing them together. By the way, I heard someone even shared my content on Reddit recently, which makes me even more determined to take responsibility for what I put out here. And to everyone who joined to my live stream, thank you so much. The most intriguing part is the mention of the new race called Dosundada by Gaëtan. To be honest, just like the Buccaneer tribe, the name alone doesn't give us much to pinpoint exactly what kind of race this is. But let's try analyzing it based on the name itself, Dosundada. In English, sounds like Dosundada, but in Japanese, we have to stress this word, su. Dosundada. Dosundada. Yeah, first of all, the way Dosundada sounds pretty close to the Japanese phrase dosunda. Have you ever heard this phrase? This phrase is typically used when something seems impossible or ridiculous, like how in the world are you supposed to make that happen? Now, if you think about this in terms of the race that would be extremely difficulty reproducing, the first thing that comes to mind is giants and dwarfs pairing. Just like Nami in this chapter was shocked to hear that Gaëtan and Ripley got married and had kids, if someone said a giant and dwarf want to have a child together, the first reaction would probably be like this. どうすんだ? どうやんの? Wait, sorry? How is that even possible? This is totally one of those moments where Oda sensei just having fun with the wordplay. But another way to break this down is by separating the hiragana. Yeah, like this. Let's try splitting Dosundada into Dosun and Dada. You might have heard Dosun before. It's often used to describe something heavily dropping or the powerful impact like slamming a hammer into the ground. You'd also use the sound Dosun when placing a heavy jar on the floor with a thud. In the One Piece story, this sound effect was used for things like Oar's press attack and when Little Oar Jr. collapsed. It's basically the sound of something massive falling or sitting down with force. So from that perspective, Dosundada probably referred to the race that's really heavy. On the other hand, Dada is an onomatopoeia used for the running, like da 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 da. Yeah, when someone is just sprinting. And similar sounding race name in the One Piece is Tontatta, Dosundada and Tontatta. Yeah, I just write down here. This Japanese word, ton, is often used to describe something lightly tapping or kicking off the ground. Yeah, like this. Tom, tom. Yeah, lightly tapping. Tom, 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 tom. Yeah, this is tom in Japanese onomatopoeia. And many Japanese use this word for just knocking the door. Ton, 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 ton. Yeah, ton, 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 ton. Meanwhile, this onomatopoeia, tatta, is used for someone running nimbly, like tat, 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 tat. Yeah, this tat, 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 tat. First of all, the tom, just tapping lightly, and running nimbly, tat, tat, tom, tat, 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 tat. So as they expected, the Tontata tribe were likely named that way because they are small, light, and quick on the feet. They tom when they tapping the ground, and when they run, ta 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 ta, tom ta 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 ta. Yeah, this makes sense. Based on just the name Dosundada, one possible interpretation is that it refers to a gigantic race. This is a unique differences, Tontata and Dosundada. Ton ta 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 versus Dosun. Da, 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 da. Yeah, Based on just the name, Dosundada, one possible interpretation is that it refers a gigantic race. In other words, it could be a combination of giants and another major race beside humans. Another possibility is that based on the similarity in the name structure between Tontata and Dosundada, these names might have been used to categorize different type of dwarves. Yeah, Dosundada for the heavier built ones and Tontata for the quick and nimble ones. So for now, these seems to be the two main possibilities. If we assume Dosundada is related to the giants, one possible connection is that Eiichiro brothers. According to biblicals, here, this is a page of Eiichiro brothers. Their race is labeled as mysterious giant tribe. Described as here. Mysterious giant tribe in Japanese, 謎の巨人族. So there's no doubt they are indeed giants. But here's another interesting detail. I just read. この全身を毛で覆われた獣人兄弟の素性は多くの謎に包まれており。There's beast man. 獣人兄弟 means beast man brothers covered in fur from the head to toe remain shrouded in mystery. Even though they are giants, they are also described as beast men. 獣人. In the One Piece world, beast men are usually referred to as minks, which suggests that they might actually be half giants and half mink. This is rock and scotch. And maybe, just maybe, that hybrid race is what Dosundada refers to. Now let's have a look at the Chahige's words. He describes them like this. Their footprints are huge and their voices are deep. At first, I thought the deep voice part wasn't really important, but then I realized something. There's a Japanese phrase for deep, intimidating voice. ドスの効いた声. Literally meaning dose-filled voice. Dose-filled. A deep, menacing voice. So maybe, just maybe, Dosundada comes from the dose-filled voice. ドスの効いた声. A voice that's deep, heavy, and full of menace. And Eiichiro brothers are 4,250 meters tall, which is twice the height of the average giant. Normally, when the regular giant falls in the ground, the sound effect uses doshin, like this. But four ancient giants are even bigger. The manga uses dosun as a sound effect. Dosun, Dosundada. It actually makes sense. Dosun sounds more fitting for something massive crashing down compared to doshin. Now, here's another interesting clue. Their blood type. S-type RH negative or S-type RH minus. In One Piece, this rare blood type seems to be associated with hybrids, people who are either mixed race or have special genetic traits. Look at the other characters with this blood type. Praline, in Japanese, Purarine, half fishman and half human. And the Dillinger, half fighting fish and half human. And Fisher Tiger seems to be a pure fisherman. But what makes his kind unique is that their inherited genes contain traits of ancient ancestors, and which traits emerge is randomly determined. This was also revealed in the SPS to the true for the Mink tribe as well. And Windsmoke siblings, genetically modified before birth, possibly incorporating Lunarian genetic factor given their superhuman abilities like fire generation and steel-like bodies. With that in mind, Rock and Scotch had also have a blood type might not a pure giant but rather a hybrid race or individual with a special genetic modifications. And another fascinating detail is that they are currently 25 years old. We know from the SPS that normal giants age a half speed of the humans, meaning they took much longer to mature. But besides being only 25 years old, those two already speak like fully grown adults. Compare that to Colon, who is 20 years old and still seems much less developed. There's a clear difference in the growth speed. This could mean that they inherited Mink's genetic factor as well. While their growth rate and skin might come from mink side, their gigantic size could be from their giant heritage. That might explain why they look so unique compared to regular giants. But I'm expected to receive this kind of comment. Since they were on Punk Hazard, you might wonder, were they artificially created as modified giants, like Mocha? But actually, their birthplace isn't Punk Hazard. Yeah, referred to Bible card. They come from a snowy country somewhere in the Grand Line. They were captured by the Marines at some point and sent to the Punk Hazard later. Also, unlike numbers, who were failed attempts at ancient giants, Rock and Scotch can actually speak normally, like humans. For comparison, Hacha, one of the numbers, is 188 years old, meaning the scientists who created the numbers were active around 200 years ago. Since Rock and Scotch doesn't seem to be connected to the experiment, they must be something entirely different from numbers. Still, the fact that they are twice size of the regular giant is pretty insane. Yeah, there are two possibility explanations for this. First is a natural mutation caused by mix of giant and minx genes. The second one is the artificial giantification, similar to what happened to Mocha and the other Punk Hazard test subjects. By the way, I used to study modern art in Italy. I immediately think of Dadaism. Yeah, if Oda sensei took inspiration from that, it could imply that the Dosundada are a race that reject order, norms, and structure, embracing chaos, destruction, and defiance. And honestly, that kind of rebellious, aggressive nature does seem to match Rock and Scotch's behavior and their personality. And another possibility for the Dosundada is that they might be a hybrid race, a mix between dwarves and another species. Before diving into that, let's take a closer look at the Tontata themselves, because interestingly, there's a chance that they too are a mixed race. They are referred to as Tontatazoku, but at the same time, their introduction panel also calls them Kobitozoku, meaning dwarf species. It's a little bit confusing, but it seems like Kobitozoku is a general term for dwarves, while Tontata refers to a specific subgroup within them. So what makes the Tontata different from other dwarves? Think back to the moment where Tontata first appeared before Robin. If you look closely, there are dwarves among them who don't have tails. Yeah, him. This suggests that he might belong to a different dwarf species separate from Tontata. Now, let's take a closer look at giants in the One Piece world. Aside from ancient giants, who have distinct skin colors and horns, and the Wotans who are half fishman hybrids, most regular giants look no different from humans. That's why I think more typical dwarves probably look like ones without tails, just like one character we saw earlier. So if Tontata are hybrid race, who are they mixed with? Yeah, I'd say the minx. Their tail seems to be a trait inherited from minx DNA, or minx genetic factor. In the One Piece world, the word mink actually refers to the luxurious fur of the animal. Interestingly, the humans are called lesser mink, which means having less body hair. So maybe the reason Tontata have a concentrated fur on their tails is that they carry mink DNA, a mink's genetic factor, but instead of growing fur all over, it's limited to their tails. And here's something even more intriguing. In the chapter 1138, there's a mirror that shows two minx-like figures. That could mean one of them was an ancestor of the Tontata. If that's the case, then maybe the Tontata aren't the only hybrid dwarves. Yeah, it could be another mixed race group among dwarves known as the Dosundada. If so, as I mentioned earlier, they might be even more extreme hybrids such as giant dwarf, which seems nearly impossible, fishman dwarf, another unusual mix. Either way, the Dosundada could be yet another unique hybrid race hidden in the One Piece world. So far, we've seen analyzing the Dosundada, but Gaëtan actually mentioned other hybrid races as well. First up, the Buccaneers. What we know about them is that they carry the blood of giants, but according to Vegapunk, their true defining trait isn't just their physical strength, it's something else entirely. Yeah, that suggests that they might also have genetic factor from another special race, not just giants. Then, there's a long arm, long leg, and snake neck race, in Japanese just called Teashi Kubinaga. Yeah, this likely refers to a group that evolved over generation from mix of long arm tribe, long leg tribe, and snake neck tribe. The race that combines all three haven't been fully introduced yet, but there's a chance we will see them appear in the story at some point. And the existence of so many different races along with their hybrids is likely to become an important theme in the story moving forward. Yeah, in the chapter 1138, when Frankie was surprised by the Adam mural showing various races, Ripley speculated that maybe a child once dreamed of a world where all races could interact. Now, here's something to think about. Did these races naturally exist in the first place? In the One Piece world, aside from expectations like Kami's gloves and Sea Kings, no human animals don't speak like humans, just like in our world. But fishmen and minks are clearly part human. Giants, dwarves, long arms, long legs, snake necks, and also Lunarians all retain distinctly human traits as well. If you think about it that way, it's entirely possible that these races wasn't naturally occurring, but were instead artificially created through advanced scientific technology in the past. In my previous video, analyzing Harley and the Elbaf mural, I talked about how people in the past may have harnessed the power of the Forbidden Sun, gaining limitless energy and advancing their technology at an unimaginable speed. With such rapid progress, the environment itself would have undergone drastic changes, and if humans couldn't adapt quickly enough, they could have faced extinction. Yeah, this is where species adaptability and genetic diversity become crucial. The greater the diversity within a species, the higher its chances of survival. For instance, even if devastating disease were to spread across the world, or war cause civilization to collapse, humans with the ability to live in the sea, like fishermen, or deep forests, like minks, or other extreme environments could continue to exist, evolving in different forms. It's possible that the scientists of the past, fearing the end of the humanity due to rapid technological advancement, intentionally caused various races as a survival strategy. But at the same time, it's humans' nature to reject outsiders in order to maintain social order, so despite the scientists' intentions, conflict and competition between races intensified over time. As a result, in the present One Piece world, different races tend to live isolated communities rather than mingling freely. For example, fishermen stay on Fishman Island, minks live on Zou, giants are mostly found in Elbaf or other giant villages, long arms and long legs each have their own separate villages. In the end, interracial interaction is extremely rare in this world. Yeah, in One Piece world. However, the world of pirates is different. The sea brings together people of all kinds of races. Luffy treats everyone the same, regardless of their race. In fact, he loved meeting different kinds of people. In that sense, becoming a pirate, sailing the seas, and encountering all sorts of the people is the perfect place for him, Monkey D. Luffy. Just as Madame Shari predicted, I believe Luffy is the one who will end the current divided world and create a new one. 太陽の神は踊り、笑い、世界を終末へと導く. So far, I've shared my thoughts on Dosundada and hybrid races based on the Japanese version of One Piece. I've also broken down some interesting parts of chapter 1139 in Japanese on my page, so feel free to check it out. Yeah, I'm thinking this page will be available for everyone. If you're learning Japanese, I think you'll find it useful. Plus, right now, anyone can comment, so if you have questions about Japanese translation or thoughts on One Piece, I'd love to hear them. Alright, see you in the next video. さよなら港紡ぎの里よどんと一丁歌を船での歌